Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. The WRAL Investigates team set out to find out what's in those over-the-counter products that promise to help you sleep or give you a buzz. While marijuana is not legal in North Carolina, a certain level of THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, is. So you can call it whatever you want. Marijuana light. You can find it in smoke shops and convenience stores. In this episode, senior producer Randall Kerr joins me to share what their investigation uncovered. Randall, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Amanda.
So I think there's some confusion, and I want to make sure we explain it. You know, marijuana is legal and decriminalized in a lot of states. That's not the case in North Carolina, yet you see a lot of these products advertised, and I always wonder what the deal is. So can you explain, first of all, you know, what we're seeing on the store shelves? Some of it's called CBD, some of it's called other things, and what is in it as far as you know?
Well, I think the most interesting thing with this story is in the big picture, the question you asked me, the people whose job it is to know that answer, they don't know the answer. This is such an unregulated industry that no one knows what's enforceable, what's not. If they wanted to raid stores for selling illegal products, they wouldn't even know what to look for. So basically, when the Farm Bill passed Congress, it legalized certain CBD products out of hemp. And part of that, so that's when we saw the first flood of CBD products, which people claim to take for insomnia, aches, a lot of bowel syndrome issues, stomach problems. People said that helped. And then that industry grew where we saw a lot of products containing what's called Delta 8 THC, Delta 9 THC. Now you're seeing Delta 10 THC, THCA, which is acid, THCP. You're seeing all of these different products show up on store shelves, all extracted from these same hemp plants. And the bottom line is the way the law is written, as long as they are under a certain percentage of the Delta 9 THC, which, like you mentioned, is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, as long as it's below a certain threshold, it is completely legal under the Farm Bill.
What is that threshold? Do we know?
It's 0.3% of the weight of the product.
But there's nothing to stop you from taking more of that product. So while one piece of that is the 0.3%, you could take 5 pieces of it, correct?
You could, but what we found is what you think you're buying and what you get aren't the same.
Okay, well, let's just briefly, before we go to break, let's just briefly set up your investigation. What did you do in terms of investigating this?
So the first thing I did, I found a local lab that specialized in testing these things. It's a certified lab that only tests hemp products. Their customers range from growers to manufacturers to even, they said they've started seeing an influx in store owners having products tested. Because a lot of stores buy products and they don't really know what's in there. They're told one thing, but you scan the product and there's no history of the product, so they don't know what it is. So this lab said that they were seeing an increase in this. And, you know, I don't live in this world. I see the stuff in the stores just like probably everyone listening
right, gas
has.
stations, convenience stores.
And
sure.
I don't live in this world. So when I talked to the lab, I said, you know, is there anything that you're seeing, any trends, any troublesome products? And I was basically told, you can go anywhere and buy anything and give it to us, and I promise you, you're going to not like the results.
Well, we'll talk about the results after the break, but do you know how many products you had tested?
We tested 5 different products, and they varied from, you can buy these in vape cartridges, like you'd see your Juuls that have been out with nicotine for a while. They have them with THC. We bought gummies, things that are normally targeted to kids. And we actually went to one store where we found what's called a pre-roll, which is almost like a joint. It's a smokable form of this THC that was supposed to be THC acid. And so we took those and had those different things tested.
Okay.
And got the results back.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, we will talk more about that after the break. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. So tell me what your lab found in these 5 products that you had tested.
So 5 products, 4 of them were completely mislabeled. So they either didn't contain what was on the label at all. They contained more stuff that wasn't on the label. So 4 out of the 5 mislabeled. So whether it was said it was Delta 10, it was actually all Delta 8. Whether it said it was Delta 9 and THCA, it was all Delta 10. All over the board. 4 of the products were also over the legal limit of what's allowed for Delta 9 levels in North Carolina, including the product I mentioned before the break, the smokable that we found. It was 10 times over the legal limit for Delta 9. And when we asked the guys that run the lab, 10 times over seems a lot.
Sure.
One product was 3 times over. One product was a little more than 2 times over. So still alarming, but 10 times. And we said, what's the difference between that product and marijuana? And the answer was a shake of the head and nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And really scary when somebody doesn't know what's in the product, because obviously it could be dangerous, right? I mean, you could be driving. It could cause, you mentioned somebody could go to the hospital.
Yep. Now, see, and one of the things that these guys have done is they want regulation. Obviously, if testing is required, they have a dog in the fight because that's what they do. But in general, they want more regulation of these products because there are legitimate manufacturers and sellers, and there are other parts of the industry that are giving them a bad name. So if there's more regulation about limits, we have the 0.3 limit, but there's no enforcement.
Right.
What else can be done? One thing that they are really pushing for, and it gets back to you don't know what you're buying. A lot of these products, whether it's a CBD, which has no psychoactive effects, or a THC product, which does, a lot of them are manufactured by the same people. Well, what if they have unkempt practices and they mislabel something or put the wrong gummy in the wrong container, or the store sells you the wrong product if you ask for CBD, you're behind the wheel and all of a sudden you're getting dizzy, you're getting anxious, your chest starts pounding, shortness of breath. You're going to go to the hospital. And right now, there is the phrase that they use is called batch tracking. And I think the best way to explain it to everyone out there is every time we get a food recall, we know exactly who made it, where it was made, between which dates.
And we don't have that information with these products.
That's called batch tracking.
Right.
And there is nothing like that for these products.
And I mean, it begs the question, because I mentioned at the beginning of the show that marijuana is legal in certain states and the people who distribute it are regulated, government regulated. Is there a thought that if we had that in North Carolina, that it would curb some of these other practices that are going on? Or is that not even part of the conversation?
I think in the big picture, common sense would tell you if we had the real thing, there wouldn't be the need to push the limits at the lower level.
Sure.
Just that would make sense. But for now, I mean, we've seen, this legislature, whether it's the lottery, sports gambling, medical or marijuana, it's going to take a while for anything to happen. So the question is, how long do we want to gamble without regulating this stuff? There was a bill in the House and a bill in the Senate this year, including the House bill, which the members of the lab that we interviewed and did our testing tried to help craft. And one of them passed the first reading. The other one in the Senate went nowhere. So we're going to go another year with the wild, wild west with these products.
Thank you so much, Randall, for explaining this and breaking it down for us and just giving people an idea of what to look for. This has been the WRAL Daily Download, a production of WRAL News. Check out my new true crime podcast from WRAL Studios, The Killing Month, August 1978. Episodes 1 through 4 are available now. Find the show wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.